So, since we did a ranking for both Season 1 and Season 2 of Spongebob, it's only fitting that today we're gonna be ranking every episode of Spongebob's third season, from worst to best on the tier list. Hey! So, starting off, we're gonna have Idiot Box, and this episode for me is an episode that I think could be S tier, but I'm gonna place it in A tier. Idiot Box is a really funny episode, a really funny concept at that. I'm gonna put it in S tier. I just remembered that, like, me not thinking this episode is perhaps top 10 of the show doesn't mean that it isn't S tier. Even though there are episodes that I find funnier, this is still a really funny episode. Like, this is one of the funniest episodes of the whole show. The concepts and the whole imagination thing is really entertaining to watch, and the story is also, like, really solid with Squidward not being able to have any imagination. It's really just a better version of The Paper from Season 1, which already wasn't a bad episode, so yeah, it's really good. Next we got SpongeBob Meets the Strangler, and this episode I'm gonna put in A tier, and this one I'm not moving. I think SpongeBob Meets the Strangler has just a hilarious story, and just the whole episode being SpongeBob trying to protect himself from the Strangler, and the person he hires to help him against the Strangler is the Strangler. It's a goofy story, and they get some really good jokes out of it. I just find it so funny that SpongeBob keeps, like, hurting the Strangler and, like, sabotaging his plans, like, completely not on purpose, because we see, there is the theory that the Strangler, SpongeBob knew that this was a Strangler the whole time and was, like, tormenting him because of that. But I think that, first, it doesn't make any sense for SpongeBob's character, and then also it's way funnier to think about it as him just genuinely not knowing that this is a Strangler. And we see that at the end when we get the reveal and SpongeBob is actually scared. The Strangler is a really funny character, it's a really funny episode. Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 4. This one is also going in A tier. Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 4 is one of the funniest Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy episodes. I still think 3 takes the cake, but 4 is really funny. The whole concept, running around shrinking people, and him having this belt that he first don't know how to use, and then he only knows how to do one thing with, and he just keeps shrinking everyone until there's no one left. It's really entertaining, and I think this episode has one of the funniest scenes of the whole show, which is at Patrick's Rock. It's a very funny episode, very underrated. I get that it can be a bit annoying, maybe. No, I don't know why people don't really like this one. I think it's easily one of the best Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy episodes. Missing Identity. I'm gonna put this one in B tier. Maybe it could be A tier. I feel like it's a bit forgettable, which is ironic, since the whole plot of it is SpongeBob trying to find something that he forgot, or lost, I guess. And I think the episode has its funny moments. I think the start of the episode is really different for SpongeBob, which I like, with the diner and stuff. And then I also think him recreating the stuff with Patrick and the banana peel and everything, it's some really funny stuff. But as a whole, I think the episode is B tier quality. And the same goes for the next episode, which is Sponge Guard on Duty. I'm gonna put this one in B tier. Ironically, also an episode that I think is, like, one of the most forgettable of pre-movie Spongebob. I tend to forget that this one exists. Not that it's a bad episode. I think it's just another, Goo Lagoon episode. But this one is really funny when you aren't like tallying up Larry's crimes in the episode. SpongeBob being a lifeguard is a good setup, and they get some good jokes out of it. Not like anything like S tier, The comedy is good, as it is in pre-movie SpongeBob. It's a fun situation. SpongeBob and Patrick, drowning. It's funny stuff, but I think it's like B tier funny. Rockabye Bivalve is A tier funny. Like honestly, contender for S tier. This episode is so funny. SpongeBob and Patrick taking care of this baby. Is it a clam or a scallop? I still don't know the difference, but Junior, right? Junior is his name, and I think it's just hilarious from start to finish. The mom and dad tropes that they play off of. Patrick, really funny in this one. SpongeBob, you got the overtime, you got tons of hilarious lines, and I think Patrick is a standout in this one, but it's like he is the funniest character in SpongeBob, so it makes sense, And the story is good as well. Like, it is a comedic story, a goofy story, but it is a comedic, goofy show, so like, yeah. But I think it has some good, pacing and a good conclusion. I really like this one. My Pretty Seahorse is, honestly, I'm gonna put this one in C tier. Well, this is one of my least favorite pre-movie episodes. Not that it's bad, C tier, it's still pretty good, but I just don't find this one very funny. There are some good gags, but I think the plot just isn't that great for season 3. It feels a bit too, like, not even stressing, but it's just a bit not fun to watch, SpongeBob having to get rid of this seahorse, and it's just kind of sad, and at the same time it's a bit annoying to watch, It's alright though, has some pretty good jokes. Squilliam Returns, this one is A tier. I think Squilliam Returns, that's a perfect way to bring back a character, because Squilliam really went 2 for 2 in pre-movie. Like, he appears in 2 episodes of the first 3 seasons, and they're both like, S tier and A tier respectively. I think this one is really funny, and I also like some of the like concept and stuff in it. I feel like I'm using the word concept a lot, but in this one it definitely tracks with. I think just SpongeBob's brain office in this episode is a really good concept, and how everything comes together and like implodes at the end it's not satisfying to watch, but it's like it's a good story, and I think this one is really funny. The scene where Patrick thinks he's joining the Marines or something, hilarious, and SpongeBob breaking down at the end, hilarious. Like, this one is really good. Midlife Crustacean is B tier. Good episode. I feel like it gets a bit too, I don't know, not overhyped, you can think whatever you want, but I feel like people talk about this one a lot more because of it being banned and stuff, with the panty raid. The episode as a whole is good, like B tier, yeah, it's B tier. I think the story is good, Krabs realizing he's old and trying to relive his like youth, but it goes with SpongeBob and Patrick, so everything is of course really lame. I think it's good, but nothing that crazy, and I think it's mainly remembered for being banned for the panty raid stuff. Then we got the Bully, which is also gonna be going in B tier. The Bully is, I kinda don't usually like these types of plots with like a bully character, because it's just like not that entertaining to watch. But I feel like this one is so, you know, it's Spongebob, so they make it like so outrageous that it kinda works. Yet again, an episode like the other ones in B tier where I just think that there are no like, the comedy isn't like to a crazy level. Season 3 is probably the funniest season of the show, so like when it can't really match the episodes above it, I think B tier is a good spot to go, because like I come to SpongeBob for comedy. Some episodes have some like heartfelt stuff and like amazing stories that add to that. But this one is just like, it's a bully plot in boarding school. Flats works pretty well as an antagonist, and there are some funny jokes. It's B tier. Nasty Patty is S tier. I was actually thinking of putting this one in A tier, but then I realized just how good this one is. I think it has one of the strongest atmospheres of the whole show, with this by far being like the darkest looking episode at least. You got the setting of the Krusty Krab at, is it evening? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's evening. So it's like dark and it's raining and storming. Actually, it's not even evening, I think it's just like bad weather. But yeah, I think the plot of them, you know, thinking the health inspector is a fraud and then accidentally killing him, and then it turns out he wasn't a fraud, and then he's not actually dead, but they think that, bury him, the police come. Hilarious moments, like I love especially like the acting in this one. I think both Krabs and Spongebob's voice actors do a great job. Really like this one. Also a funny episode because Squidward isn't working in this one. It's kind of unusual. Pranks a lot. I'm gonna put it in B tier. Kind of an underwhelming ending to the original run before the movie. This episode is fine for what it is. It's like, yeah, they buy some invisible spray and like go around pranking people. But I don't think it's like that funny. It's like, it's funny for what it is. And I think the ending is pretty good, and I like the scene at the prank store. That's about it. B tier. Mermaid Man Barnacle Boy 5 is A tier. I don't think it's quite as good as 4, mainly because I think that one is funnier. Although you could argue for this one, because this one has one of the best plots of like this season, I think. At least with the setup of them, you know, Barnacle Boy and Mermaid Man splitting up and like forming their own groups with, you know, Barnacle Boy and the villains versus Mermaid Man and the main characters who all, you know, dress up in the superhero costumes. And it is funny. And I like the story. It's pretty like heartfelt with the characters uniting at the end. I think it has good pacing. It's really good. Like, except for the second one, I think every Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy episode is like really good. At least in the first 3 seasons. Just One Bite. This one is also going in A tier. Really funny as well. Not quite as funny to be like S tier, but I think just Squidward obsessing over Krabby Patties after SpongeBob, you know, kind of tricking him into wanting one, even though he has eaten one before in the show, but we don't talk about that. I think Just One Bite is, you know, it's a funny episode, it's a good plot. It's just, there's nothing bad about this one, it's just all around really good. Craborg. Craborg is S tier. This, I figured out pretty recently, is probably one of the most underrated episodes of the whole show. Because this one is easily one of the funniest episodes of the whole show. Like, this should be talked about when you bring up like chocolate with nuts and wet painters. which are both going up because they're both in this season. It's a really funny season. But yeah, Craborg has... It's just an easy premise. Like Spongebob watches a scary movie, gets scared of robots, and then he goes to work and is paranoid and thinks Krabs is a robot. It's not an easy premise, you know, it's pretty outrageous, but they do so much with that. Just the whole episode after the movie is just him and Squidward scaring each other in the Krusty Krab, with eventually them like jumping crabs, and the torture scene. Like this one, like every second is a hilarious gag. Like this has some of my favorite jokes of the whole show. It really needs to be talked about more. Easily S tier. New Student Starfish could also be S tier, but I'm gonna put it in A tier. I think this one also really funny. Of course, if you have like Patrick going to boarding school with SpongeBob, it's gonna be funny. Some great gags and a really good story to go along with it. I feel like people don't mention this one enough either, with just how it's an episode where you know, they stop being friends, they start being mad at each other, and then they have a really natural conclusion to make them friends again. It's not natural because it was orchestrated by Puff, which makes it almost better, you know. And then above anything else, just the jokes. It's so funny. Potty Pooper Pants is it's either C tier or B tier. I'm gonna stick it in B tier. Overheated for sure. Not one of the worst episodes of pre-movie SpongeBob. Like, this one, it has one negative quality, and that is SpongeBob being annoying. And while, yes, he is annoying, that's the point, you know. He is annoying and gets thrown out of his of his own birthday, no, not birthday party, just his own party. He gets punished for it, he gets arrested by the police, and everyone has a good time without him. I really like this one, even though it has like SpongeBob being annoying. I got a video on it coming out, so I won't talk about it more now, but you can expect like defense of this episode coming out pretty soon. Krusty Krab training video is A tier. This one is one where I could see why people put it in S tier, but for me it's just that rewatchability. Like, the gimmick of it being a training video is really funny, but it makes it not as good on rewatch as the other episodes that are like up in S tier, you know. I could watch like those episodes on and on and on, but like the training video setup can get tiring after a while. That does not take away from this episode being absolutely hilarious though. Like, the comedy is really good, and I think they do so much with this different format for an episode. Really good one. I'm gonna see, can I grab episodes from down here anymore? My computer screen is... Nah, I have to scroll down. My computer screen is literally too small to like grab episodes, so I have to scroll down. Born Again Krabs is in B tier. You know, Mr. Krabs selling SpongeBob soul for 62 cents is iconic and hilarious, but except for that, like, the episode can be a bit forgettable at times. It's just an episode where Krabs tries to be not cheap and greedy, and you know, it works, it's funny, but I feel like that's just about it. It works, like, for what it is. It's a funny setup, and it all comes crashing down at the end. I like the Dutchman is in this one, probably one of his better appearances, but I don't think it's funny enough to go higher. I Had an Accident though, that one goes higher because it's going in A tier. Another episode that is just absolutely hilarious. I Had an Accident has probably my favorite Patrick and Sandy team up. Like, they play off each other really well in this one, and with Spongebob as well. And you don't see this combination of characters that often. You see it a few times, but like, this one is really funny. I think Patrick and Sandy is an underrated comedic duo. The ending is outrageous and hilarious, but so is the whole episode. Like, I think my favorite scene is the beginning scene, and Patrick in general in this episode is just so good. And now we got Ugg, which I'm gonna stick in, if I can grab it, B tier. You know, there's obviously the obvious joke with this being like SpongeBob. It's also named the SpongeBob BC, before comedy, and the episode doesn't have much comedy, mainly because the characters don't talk, and you know, contrary to season 14's beliefs, the characters usually get most of their jokes out of actually talking. There is of course a Reef Blower, which is funny without talking, but also it's 4 minutes. This episode is a lot longer than 4 minutes, but I still feel like they do get some really funny situations and stuff across. And the concept alone of them being cavemen and still having the same dynamic and stuff, that is good. Wait, something is beeping. But this one also has the patchy segments, and I think the patchy segments in this episode are some of the best of the whole show. When Worlds Collide is a really great song, it's a really funny song number, and kind of everything he does in this episode is just funny, and he brings some well-needed dialogue to this episode. You know, he yaps a lot, which is actually a good contrast when you cut away from the characters just grunting and stuff. I think this one, yeah, all around it's B tier. The Great Snail Race is also B tier. This is kind of a sad case because I feel like this episode is very funny at parts, but the parts when it isn't that funny, it's kind of hard to watch, because it's scary getting tortured by Spongebob, which results in him like exploding and crashing and stuff. And while I think this in the story it works, you know, it's Spongebob is an antagonist in this one. It's like he's obviously in the wrong. It's kind of like in I Was a Teenage Gary with Squidward not feeding Gary, where even though I don't think it's bad writing or anything, I still don't really want to watch it, because it's an animal that like is supposed to like resemble a cat, like getting tortured, and he's like meowing and stuff. It's just not very entertaining to watch for me. But the other parts with Patrick and Squidward and stuff, really funny. Yeah. And then we got the camping episode, which is going in, if I can move it up, S tier, of course. Such a perfect episode. The whole setup just being them sitting outside of their houses, and that's the camping, and they still get so much out of it, is amazing. I love this episode. Like, the campfire song, fantastic. Like, all of the jokes, like there's so much fun situations and stuff that happens in this one, and so good jokes, and their dynamic is perfect in this episode. I love how this episode perfectly shows why pre-movie Spongebob, except for jellyfishing, didn't have Squidward torture. It had Squidward being kind of a dick and then getting punished for it. Even though the punishment is a bit like out of proportions, it's still like he didn't need to like come along on their camping trip just because SpongeBob said like have fun inside, and then like mock them and stuff. It's really well written, this episode. Love it. Oh, and this one is pretty much the exact same case. It's Club Spongebob. These episodes are really similar. Like, Club Spongebob is also S tier. This is also them pretty much sitting in the exact same spot the whole episode. Squidward getting punished, although in this one he kind of just didn't listen to them and should have, but he didn't need to climb into their like treehouse, clubhouse. It was really he just did it to spite them, and then he got stuck with them in the jungle. And this is one of the funniest episodes of the whole show. It's one of my favorite episodes of the whole show. I love watching this, like I love having any excuse to talk about it in videos. It's just a perfect episode in my opinion. This is a perfect episode of Spongebob. Let's see if the next one also is that. Oh, it literally is. Wet Painters is also going in S tier. This episode is like a contender for funniest episode of the whole show. Wet Painters does everything right. Like the comedy in this one should be like literally studied. This is one of the funniest cartoon episodes I've ever seen. SpongeBob and Patrick's dynamic in Wet Painters is also probably one of the best dynamics they have ever had. I can't say like they've. And Krabs, you know, the setup, it's all just great. Snowball Effect. This one is going in A tier. I was contemplating S tier for a second, but yeah. Snowball Effect. Another episode where Squidward gets dragged into the action, but in this one he actually enjoys it and like actually goes too far with the snowball fights. And I love seeing that. I love seeing Squidward join in on their antics. Kind of like Idiot Box, but this one even more. I love the snow setting in this one. It's like even more Christmas themed than Christmas Who. Maybe just because of, you know, snow. Snow isn't... I mean, depending on where you live, I guess. Snow might be everywhere. I don't know. But I love how this episode looks. I love the snowball fights. I love the comedy. Like this one, if it was just, I don't know, a bit funnier, it would be S tier. Like, it's really that good. Doing Time, also A tier. Kind of the same case here, where I think like this episode is really, really funny, but if it was just a little bit funnier, it could be up there. What I really like though about Doing Time is how the plot is just straight insanity, which is kind of a recurring theme for Puff. She goes through a lot in this show, and I think this episode really showcases how insane she is going from teaching SpongeBob. But it's not in a mean way, like in some later season episodes with Puff and SpongeBob. Like, here she goes to jail, actually enjoys it. SpongeBob and Patrick try to break in, or do they? Like, there is a time loop at the end. Like, it's just an insane episode, and I love it for that. Really funny as well, you know. A tier for Doing Time. And then we have No Weenies Allowed. Stacking up the A tier here. Is this one S tier? I'm gonna keep it in A tier. This one is probably the closest to S tier, to be honest, but I just don't wanna fill it up because I think like we're gonna have even more S tier episodes. No Weenies Allowed. Another one where they do a lot with a little. Like, they're just in line for this tough guy bar. Is it a bar? Like, is it just a tough guy? It's a saloon, right? So I don't know. Spittoon. It's a bar anyway. It's a tough guy bar that SpongeBob wanna get into. So him and Sandy stand in line. SpongeBob isn't allowed in, and then the whole episode after that is just him trying to get in, and it works so well. Like, full packed with great jokes. All of the stuff at Weenie Hut Juniors and Weenie Hut, is it called Juniors? The like even weenier place. Fantastic. Like, once Patrick joins the mix, it's just comedy gold. It was comedy gold before that as well, but yeah. I like Reg in this episode. He works, like, everything in this episode just works. It's A tier, close to S tier. The Algae's Always Greener is also A tier. What I really like about this episode is how it's an episode where you think this could be a whole special, like Plankton switching lives with Krabs, but it's just a regular 11-minute episode, and I really like that because the episode is just Plankton getting the idea of switching lives with the machine. He does it. We get some new interactions with everyone, which is really funny, especially, you know, the new Krabs, him being naked and stuff. And then Plankton switches back, and that's the episode. And he realizes by the end that, oh, maybe his life isn't so bad, and he's actually excited about the holographic meatloaf. I think it's a really good story. Like, this one is really good, really funny, really good. I like the story. Yeah, A tier. Krabbyland is probably C tier, to be honest. I feel like this one just kind of... Is it B tier? Nah, I'm gonna have it in C tier because this one just isn't very funny for season 3 standards. Like, it's just kind of annoying to watch for the most part. Although I think the ending is really good. I don't really have a problem with Krabs being like super greedy in this one and like taking the advantage of kids and stuff, because that's his character, that's what he does. But it's just not that entertaining to watch, you know. And kind of like Spongebob having to fill in for him and stuff, you just kind of feel bad. Yeah, it's C tier. Has some good jokes, has a good ending, but yeah. Planktons Army is A tier. One of the best Plankton episodes. I really love Plankton's family in general in the show. They've started using them more in like season 14, maybe season 15 as well. No, I think it was 2 episodes in season 14 that feature them, and it's like a thing that I'm still interested in. Like, I think Plankton's whole species and stuff in the show, it's an interesting concept, and in this one it's a really funny concept as well. Like, they are really funny, like especially Billy Bob, or whatever his name is, the guy that can't read. So yeah, I think it's a really it's a really funny watch. I like the idea of them just attacking the Krusty Krab. I remember playing like a browser game when I was little. I think... Wait, I'm trying to think. Yeah, there was like a browser game that I played where there was like a Planktons invading the Krusty Krab or something. Like a tower defense game, I think. But yeah, really good memories from this one. Like the story. All around really, really good. Chocolate with nuts. That's gonna be our next S tier. You know, of course, this is one of the funniest episodes of the whole show, along with some of the others in S tier here. Season 3 is just that funny. Chocolate with Nuts has... I don't know, Wet Painters maybe has their best dynamic comedically, but Spongebob and Patrick in this one are so funny. And I'm honestly impressed by how in this episode the whole thing is just them going around to different houses selling chocolate. And yet they manage to have so many different like character interactions and like so many... They pack a lot of stuff into this one. I think it might be the setup of them just going house by house, but they managed to make every house so funny. It's reminding me of a Rubber Nipple Salesman from Ren and Stimpy, but even funnier. Like, this episode, Patrick is at his A game, Spongebob is also at his A game. Yeah, kind of a perfect comedy gold episode. Now we don't have many left. As Seen on TV is going in C tier. The thing with As Seen on TV is I feel like the story really feels like a season 4 episode. Thankfully it's not, and you know, it still looks like season 3 and like it has some season 3 quality jokes. But I just feel like the whole thing of SpongeBob thinking he's a big star and thinking everyone is recognizing him and stuff, I just kind of don't like it. It feels like he's a bit too stuck up in this one and like too full of himself, to where he's not very entertaining to watch. But it still has its moment with the striped sweater and stuff, and I think the scenes with the commercial in the beginning are funny. I just don't like SpongeBob in this one, and he feels a lot more like his post-movie self. So that one is going in C tier. Clams is going in A tier, really stacking that A tier up now. But you know, it's pre-movie SpongeBob, so what do you expect? Clams is really, really great. Another one where if it was a bit funnier, like a bit more iconic jokes, and it might be S tier. I love episodes in cartoons in general where they're on like ships or like a boat or something, especially when it's like this. It's just a small boat with, you know, the 3 Krusty Krab employees, and Krabs is slowly going crazy. Really like the setting, really like the story, like the Jaws parody and Krabs going insane. So great, and it's very funny as well. Not funny enough for S tier, but really, really funny still. So A tier for Clams, and now we get One Krabs Trash, which I'm gonna put in B tier, I think. I kinda wanna put this one in A tier, but this is one where I feel like I don't think it has that many iconic jokes. The setup is pretty funny, and I like how Krabs don't manage to scam SpongeBob by the end. Like, he is kind of he's kind of mean to him in this one by trying to scam him out of his hat, even though SpongeBob probably wouldn't care. But I feel like this episode isn't really as funny as the ones in A tier. I feel like there is the floating shopping list. I really like that joke. Him defiling the grave, fighting the skeletons. There is good stuff in this one, but I think it's B tier. The Sponge Who Could Fly is D tier. Yeah, it's D tier. Easily the worst pre-movie episode of SpongeBob, and the only episode I would put in D tier from P-movie, I think. It's just way too mean to SpongeBob. The townsfolk are always kind of jerks, but in this one, everyone just sucks. Like, this episode is only saved by Patchy and the cheap walk cycle and I guess some of the jokes, but it really isn't funny and like funny enough to save it. And yeah, it's definitely D tier. I feel like this one just missed the mark completely, and having this be like one of the few pre-movie specials, like what is it, 5, and Shanghai it barely counts. It's like, yeah, they kind of missed with this one. Can You Spare a Dime is A tier. Yeah, it's A tier. I like the story a lot in this one. It shows how pre-movie SpongeBob, you know, it shows him being pushed to his limits, which feels really satisfying to watch. You know, him shaking Krabs at the end and stuff. It's just a really satisfying episode. Like, you feel for Squidward at first, of course, but then because Krabs fired him for nothing, like literally nothing, and it was Krabs' fault the whole time. But then Squidward starts getting on, you know, SpongeBob's nerves, and simultaneously kind of our nerves, but it's still funny enough to where you aren't annoyed by it, which is great. Like, it's a great balance, and the episode just has a really good story progression, with SpongeBob getting more and more annoyed, eventually, you know, snapping, screaming at Squidward, and running to the Krusty Krab with his bed. And then, yeah, A tier for sure, really good one. And yeah, that is every episode of Season 3 ranked. Let me know in the comments if I'm tripping on any of these rankings, and we are probably gonna be doing Season 4. I was originally just planning on doing the first 3, but we're probably gonna be doing Season 4 later down the line. We'll see.